Now, the tariff increase onto Chinese EV makers could come into force by next week, which is something that is not good to Chinese EV makers selling their cars in China like Nio. I mean, you will know that Nio will be getting, if this comes into play, Nio next week they'll be getting an increase or tariff increase of 20.8%, which is something that is not good because it will make them or Nio to have to adjust the prices of their car into 4 European countries. The reason why I'm saying 4 European countries is because the 5th country, which is Norway, we know that it's not participating into this tariff dilemma that we are seeing between the EU Commission or the European Commission with China, which therefore makes Norway to be exempted from this. But Netherlands, Germany, Sweden and Denmark, Nio will have to adjust the prices of their cars there, which is something that is not good. Now, the reason why I'm telling you about this is that China and Europe, or Europe and China, they have agreed to continue finding solutions when it comes to this tariff increase that could be imposed onto Chinese EV makers like Nio next week. So they are going to further discuss or have technical talks on this tariff, which is something that, of course, it's a good thing. I think at the end of the day, there will be a solution because, I mean, if there is no solution, China will also retaliate. I mean, there is a retaliation of China punishing Europe when it comes to cognac or brandy, which that market alone for cognac and brandy in Europe, it's a very big market because I think the last time we were doing a video, it was over 300 billion euros, which shows you of how big and massive, because apparently China, it is the 2nd country with the most consumption of cognac or brandy, which shows how important China plays when it comes to the market for cognac and brandy. And if this tariff increase onto Chinese EV makers don't get to some sort of a solution, yeah, it could be bad not only for China but also for Europe, because brandy is just one area where they can punish, of course, Europe also when they are retaliating from this tariff increase. But there are other areas where they could retaliate and even hurt car makers like your BMW, Mercedes and others in China, which is something that, of course, it's not a good thing. We do not want to see that. But the good thing is that even though we could see the tariff kicking in next week, they have agreed, or both parties have agreed, that they will still continue with the talks, trying to find solution to this dilemma that is taking place of Chinese automakers giving to get more tariff or additional tariff from the European Commission. So yeah, man, this is what we got today, or these are the latest updates when it comes to the tariffs. You know that China has been trying to also send proposals to Europe, but it appears that the proposals, like the one of saying all the EV cars coming from China should be sold at a minimum of 30 euros. You know that Europe rejected that, or the European Commission rejected that, which therefore it means that they have to come up with something else to make sure that, of course, Europe is happy, China is happy. There's still going to be some back and forth, but I think at the end of the day it will fade away. In fact, that's what also the president of Nio said. He said all these tariffs in the long term, they will fade away, and we are going to see companies like Nio flourishing, continuing to flourish. But the good thing with Nio is that even with these tariffs, brands like Firefly are expected to do very well. Still, with the 20.8% tariff Europe is imposing onto Chinese EV makers like Nio, which this is massive, man. This is bullish, and it tells us that we need not to worry because Nio will still flourish. Nio will still grow. I know China yesterday told their EV makers to stop with the expansion in Europe, which, knowing that Nio has started selling their cars into 5 European countries, and the Firefly sub-brand will be sold or will be available inside the Nio stores. I think Nio was a bit strategic on this, because in the short term we'll still be seeing Nio is sending their Firefly in Europe and maybe selling it at a good price, which will result, of course, them scooping also sales with their Firefly sub-brand. I mean, this is what Nio told us, to say that Firefly will share, or will be catered on the Nio stores, or onto Nio stores. When you go on to visit the Nio stores, you'll also find Firefly there, which I think it is good, because it will also save them cost of opening specifically different stores for Firefly, like what they are doing with Onvo, which is, I think, like I said, it's a good idea, it's a good strategy, because it will save them money. So yeah, man, future is looking bright, though right now we still got the issue of tariff into Europe. I don't think it's a train smash for Nio, because again, I would say Europe is not constituting or contributing that much when it comes to the total sales that Nio generates on a month to month, and therefore their deliveries or their impact, it's quite insignificant when you look into Nio on a month to month, which is why for now, as the new investors, we do not have to worry much about this. So yeah, man, the talks are still going to continue, but we could see, of course, the tariff starting to play as of next week, which, yeah, I don't know what will happen, man. I don't know what will China do also to maybe retaliate in the time being as they are continuing with the talks, but hopefully the two parties can just come into an agreement and these things just get resolved, because I mean, we have heard so much about this thing, and I think it's high time the two parties find a solution that will benefit everyone. Otherwise, do your own due diligence before you buy the Nio stock. I mean, Nio today, it's doing so well, or it did very well when during the market hour. I mean, this stock ended the day on a green, which is something that, of course, it's pretty exciting. It's amazing to see finally Nio having a green day like today, especially after the so many red days that we saw this week. I mean, 3 out of 5 days, or in fact 4 out of 5 days this week, Nio was red. I think also 4 out of 5 last week, Nio was 4 days where Nio was red, and 1 day they were green. This week Nio was red Monday to Thursday. Today they are green, which is always good to see some green days here and there, as it gives us hope to say that indeed the price I get given by the big financial institutions, based on what they are saying onto Nio, based on the current fundamentals that we talk a lot about, indeed might be coming very soon, because the day that Nio goes green, like what we saw today, it goes up by a decent rally, which is always good. Otherwise, do your own DD. That's all from me, and God bless you all.